Good evening. I'm here doing the week 1 turn-in for PCC2 for my grizzly bear model. So I took the notes that I got from the last time I did some work on this in PFP. I started going through and fixing the base mesh of my grizzly bear. I know that the anatomy still needs some work. Just the overall proportions need a little bit more help. And so I went and just started blocking that out, moving everything out, and then kind of fatten him up a little bit to where to kind of give him that volume. So one of the things I made sure to do is kind of accentuate how this is supposed to be up here. I might need to bring this in more on the sides for his front haunches, his front legs, for that shoulder blade bone right there. That's pretty big. But I've seen it different on some bears. Like some of the bigger bears, like male bears, have more prominent front legs than they do back legs. But also a lot of them do have prominent back legs over front legs. So I might have to make these wider, and the back ones wider and the front ones closer together. But then I kind of wanted to get the volumes, just kind of get an idea in case I started, sculpting all of the fur on there. I've been playing around with fiber mesh a little bit, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a minute. But right here, just side view, I got my ears turned to where they should be. Got that neck. It's not too long, not too short, I don't think, but it gives the right amount of depth and length for his proportions. I think now that I'm looking at it, I might need to reproportion the head in terms of how big it is to the body, but I feel like it works well. And then I went through and got my claws in, finished blocking out the paws, getting those done, getting the claws in there, and then I finished the arc on his back to try and get that to read better, because there are some that do have a higher arc in the front, and it kind of slopes down in the back as you get to the tail. So first off, I guess I'll start going on to the face. So I know that when I last left off, I had a lot of face anatomy that I needed to work on. So I'll give you this front view. So I went through and started. I found a drawing of a bear, and then another reference for like a 3D model of a bear that kind of was almost similar to the planes of the face. Kind of showed you where the big changes needed to be in the muscle structures to kind of get that shape for his snout and everything. And so, it helped me block out these forms and get everything laid out to where it should be. Up here where the brows kind of go up and then it goes into that dip right here. I was able to kind of get everything positioned where it should be, and then get the proper volumes on the side to really get that good look for a bear skull. I started working on fur for the face, just kind of seeing what it would look like, doing it with some sculpting brushes. I think I used the clay buildup, the standard, the dam standard, and then the snake hold, the snake hook brush. I used that to pull some stuff out. Kind of continued it back to here. Still trying to figure out how I'm going to do the different, like the flares with the fur. I'm still trying. I've been trying to find tutorials on sculpting fur. I've also been playing with fiber mesh this week, trying to get a feel for it. As I move to the side view, I'll talk about that. I was looking at fiber mesh, and I didn't know if it would be beneficial to just do the whole bear with one fiber mesh run, and then to block it out into into fiber mesh groups as I go, and do that, so that I could style different groups and make them shorter or longer, or if it would benefit me to make my fiber mesh in groups before. So I would mask off the head and make a fiber mesh group just for that, or like for the snout, I would make a fiber mesh group just for the snout. And then one for the neck, one for the underbelly, one for the top, and then one for the front legs and one for the back legs. Masking off each section of that and then adding one. I didn't know if that would be too much or make it too dense, and then I also didn't know how that would work in getting it to react together. So I'm still trying to figure that. I'm sure you'll say that I need to go with one single mesh for that. And so I've still got to look into doing some more work with fiber mesh, kind of getting some renders out to see what it actually looks like. This is my back view. Right here you can kind of see I fixed the back so that it kind of looks more like it should. And then I got started to try and get the volumes down for his lower legs. And then we'll go back to the other side. One of the biggest things that I've had a problem with is I keep second guessing myself on whether or not something's right, or it's the right proportion, or too big or too small, or whether it looks right. Because I look at a bunch of different references, like this bear one right here, this drawing. It's a very accurate drawing done by a Disney artist. These anatomy drawings here, and then more that I found online. There's subtle differences to each one, so I'm trying to figure out which one is the exact right one to use to get what I'm trying to go for. Because I want this to end up looking, the best I can make it. I want a good quality model to come out of this. I want this to be something I'm proud of, something I can show as like a really good work. I'll show you the underbelly now. I think I might need to do some widening. I don't know if I need to widen this out a little bit, or if I need to structure this differently, but I got the main forms out on where his muscle structure lays. I might need to add some volume here, just to kind of get that, because the cut of muscle right there, and that's a big group of muscles right here, and then the secondary largest group. I got the paws blocked out. I know there's a lot of things I still need to work on as I'm moving forward, but let's let me zoom in on the claws here for you. So I went through and just made one claw. Got to reposition those, sorry about that. So one claw, I used this reference right over here. I was able to just sculpt out a claw real quick and then duplicate it, move it around, get them positioned. So I got the claws done for all four of the feet. Got those. Didn't put too much detail on them since they're going to be a small asset. There it goes. Sorry. Looks like my mesh is popping through a little bit. I've got to fix that and cover those back up. But let me move those forward so you can actually see them. So that's what they look like right there. Couple varying sizes, but they all have that same basic shape of the bear claw. I'll pop those back into place. And then I used a reference that let's see if it's still in here. My reference disappeared, but I had a reference of a bear skull. It's an actual. Let me go ahead and grab it real quick. Oh man. Alright, just one second. Sorry about that. Looks like I overloaded ZBrush. Alright, and we are back. Okay. Alright, as I was saying, I got the claws done. I used a different image. I won't try and bring that up again just in case it freezes on me and crashes again. But I used that to create teeth since I want to have the mouth open, and then kind of just modified them to fit the mouth. And what I did was I took and I got the bottom. It's kind of like the bottom lip sculpted. And it gives that definition difference between the fur of the bottom of the mouth, and then the actual mouth itself. This one kind of overhangs, but I got the inside kind of just sculpted a ridge, like it would have for the teeth to sit in where the gums are, and then just place the teeth. I made they were kind of in sets, so I made 3 sets. Made those out. I've got the canines and the incisors. You can get a look right there. And then I can also take and go down and I've got my teeth right there. You can kind of see. Got them right there. They're not perfectly lined up. I'll do some more work with that on those this weekend. Just kind of get those figured out, get them placed right, and get them all the right sizes. But that's where I've kind of made it so far on my bear. I know I'm probably going to need some more work just to get him further along. I also wanted to ask, I know that if I do sculpting, I'm going to have a custom texture for the actual fur. I didn't know if you had any recommendations on tutorials that might show how to make like animal textures, or how to go about that. I know I'd probably end up having to make it in Photoshop. And then also with for my bear, should I start trying to pose it now, or should I wait? And if not, do you think I should pose it at all? Should I leave it in this basic stance right here, just for the sake of getting it done and doing the best I can on details itself? Also, I'm going to start looking for tutorials on fiber mesh to see if I can get a little bit better handle on that, to try and use that to give my bear some new depth and character, instead of sculpting in all the fur. I could really use any advice you've got. There's been a couple points where I've just kind of hit a block this week, where I want to kind of keep pushing myself to move forward on the model, but I don't necessarily know how to push this, like, certain parts to the next level, like getting the basic form done. Like, okay, like, is this right? How do I move on from here? How do I get fur sculpted to look kind of like the references, or how do I get fiber mesh to look like the references? And what values do I tweak? Which ones do I leave alone? So it's all kind of a terrifying learning process. It looks a little scary with his eyes, but I'm definitely looking forward to continuing to work on this. I'm looking forward to hearing back from you on that one. I also wanted to add a quick note, see if I get you take a look with Gary Oldman. I went through and made some changes you talked about, because I know I've got to work on him this month too. Get him fixed and ready for portfolio. I've got to work on getting him fully textured and everything. So I haven't downsized these yet, this area. I know I still have to downsize the iris texture. But I went through and did what you said. I started, after I got those planes down, I started adding the volume that was missing. So I kind of was slowly just kind of, looking at his face, noticing kind of it just the skin wraps around, just like everybody else's. But I wanted to get your opinion, just kind of give you a turnaround of what he looks like, and see if I'm ready to move on to tertiary details yet, like the pores on the face, the wrinkles in the skin, and things like that. And then a skin texture so that I could get him done, and then start on the sculpting of the hair too this next week. Because I know it's important for me to have done by the end of this month, so that I can have all month to focus on my Star Wars character, which is going to take a lot of work, seeing as how it's a full body, clothes, weapons, and a prop stand. So I just wanted to make sure that I'm on the right track with him and getting everything done with that. I'd love to be able to move on to that, but I know that he probably still needs some work. I tried to get that volume in there without, compromising the structure I had got from the planes. I just did a little bit at a time and went with that. But let me know what you think. I'm going to continue working as I move on into next week on both of these, focusing more on the bear and then starting to sculpt his hairpiece this coming week, and hopefully get his skin texture done, get those eye texture fixed, and I'll move on from there. Thanks again. I'll see you next week.